What is up, you guys? This is Super Sega Ultra 1997 here. Let me lower this down a little bit. And I thought I'd do an updated Super Nintendo collection as of 2023. Now, the Super Nintendo, like the Genesis, had its fair share of good games. There's even some games that are even better on Super Nintendo than they are on Genesis. And not only is it going to be my Super Nintendo collection and Super Famicom, but I decided I'd throw in Nintendo 64 as well. With the Nintendo 64, I don't really own too many games, but you know what? Let me just get this one. Let me put this in front. There we go. So here are my Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, and Nintendo 64 collection. And then, without further ado, guys, let's get started. So this is the Super Nintendo collection. So first one we have is Super Mario World. That's a good one. One of the first games to come out for Super Nintendo. Same with this one, F-Zero. I got this for $5. It's a good racer. Tiny 2 Adventures Busters Bust Loose. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really the biggest fan of this game. I've seen little snips and bits of the show of Tiny Toons. And it's getting a reboot, Luniversity. It's gonna be on Max and even on Cartoon Network. So yeah, but yeah, it's an alright platformer. I wasn't really too big on Buster's Hidden Treasure for the Genesis either. I am probably gonna replay it because I hear it good, and it's on the cheap too. That's one of the cheaper Genesis games too. And then we got Timon and Pumbaa's Puzzle Jungle games. Got it for $10. This is one of the few Super Nintendo games that came out in '97, and it's trash. Play the PC version. The Super Nintendo one's not worth your time. Mortal Kombat 2, one of the best home versions. Other than the 32X version, this has to be one of the best home versions of MK2. I haven't played the Sega Saturn or PS1 versions, but I heard those versions were not the best. But they are still kind of better than the Genesis version. This obviously in the 32X trump Genesis version of that. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 2 is a classic. Hard as fuck, but it's classic. Killer Instinct, my only Super Nintendo game with the teen rating on it, and you know it's a decent fighting game. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I prefer this one more over Champion Edition for the Genesis. And I know Champion Edition was also on the PC Engine TurboGrafx 16. I haven't played that version, but I do want to give it a try one day. Donkey Kong Country 1. It's Donkey Kong Country 1. Donkey Kong Country 2 is probably the best one of the trilogy. And Donkey Kong Country 3. Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. And then we got Final Fantasy 3, which is actually part 6. Probably one of the best JRPGs of all time. And I'm pretty sure this JRPG beats the shit out of part 16. But I haven't played part 16, so I can't say anything about that. ActRaiser, an all-time classic from what I'm aware of on Super Nintendo. The music by Yuzo Koshiro is absolutely one of his best works, alongside Streets of Rage 1 and 2. In terms of the music department, and Revenge of Shinobi. Tetris 2, haven't played it. And we got Super Battle Tank War in a Golf. It's trash, honestly. It's not my game, it's my uncle's, but this game is trash. Alright. And one of the new additions to my Super Nintendo collection as of this year is Ninja Warriors. I bought this one back in March. This is actually one of the more expensive games on the Super Nintendo. I paid about around $100 something to $200 just to get this. I really wanted this game in the collection. It's one of the best beat 'em ups on Super Nintendo, and I've beaten it too. It's a great game, very great game. Saturday Night Slam Master, some Capcom. That's a classic right there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, another great beat 'em up. Recommend it. Tournament Fighters, better in the Genesis version, but this fucking game, the game's fucking difficulty, it's super fucked, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. Like the difficulty and the CPU's difficulty is pretty unbalanced at times. But if you can get past that, it's actually a pretty decent game in my opinion. I prefer this one over the Genesis one for sure. But the NES one I hear is actually the best one, the better one of the two, or of the three, sorry. Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Star Fox, the original, got it for 25. Of course, it's classic. Maximum Carnage, another great beat 'em up. It's one of the few LJN games that's actually worth a shit, honestly. And actually, I do prefer this version over the Genesis one more. UN Squadron, a very good shmup, but it is hard. I don't know, it's a very hard game. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, a very good one at that. Super Mario Kart, classic racing game. Mega Man X, a pretty decent one. This is the only Mega Man X game I know on Super Nintendo. Parts 2 and 3 are super expensive. Got this for 25 bucks in 2017. Great platformer. Batman Returns, you know, it's pretty good. You know, it's Batman. Who doesn't love Batman Returns? Way better in both the Genesis and Sega CD versions, in my opinion. I mean, even the handheld versions as well. Probably the Atari Lynx version. Super Castlevania 4. Other than Rondo of Blood, this is my all-time favorite Castlevania. This game is good. Hard as shit, but it's pretty awesome. Brawl Brothers, you know, this is another great beat 'em up. I don't have Peacekeepers, but I do plan to get it one day, even though I can already play it on the Super Nintendo, no, on the Nintendo Switch online. And of course, Rival Turf for 25 bucks. Yeah, that cover art isn't doing anyone favors. Oh, I forgot one more game. Sorry about this, you guys. I forgot one more game. This is my box copy of Contra 3 Alien Wars. Still, to this day, the only Super Nintendo game that I do own in the box. I paid $100 for it. It's complete. The box has seen better days. I bought this in 2020. I bought this right before the pandemic happened, and for $100, you can't go wrong. And I'm gonna keep it because it's my only box Super Nintendo game. The manual and cart are in flawless condition, but the box has seen better days. So yeah, Contra 3 Alien Wars is right there. And then here's my Super Famicom stuff. We got Baisojo Senshi Sailor Moon for Super Famicom. I had two Super Nintendos. The one I had previously, I was able to play these Japanese games on the system, but I am gonna have to find a module or whatever to put the cart in there. Unless if I fucking do, because this Super Nintendo right here is the new one. This is the one that's not very yellowed. So yeah, but this is a decent version, but I prefer the Mega Drive version a lot more, and I do own that one if you've seen my Mega Drive collection videos. And by Souljo's Senshi Sailor Moon R. The sequel to this game right here, but I like this one way more than the original. It's a lot harder too, but it's a decent beat 'em up. And believe it or not, I paid like around 25 for this one. So yeah. Yu Yu Hakusho Final. This is a good fighting game. I love me some Yu Yu, of course. I also love Tagashi's other series, Hunter x Hunter. That's a good one. Dragon Ball Z Booyah Retsuden 2 and Booyah Retsuden 3. No, not Super, but not Booyah Retsuden. That's the Mega Drive game. Super Bota 10. I don't have the first game to this very day, oddly enough, but I do have this in Part 2. Part 2 is probably the one to go for, honestly. The Part 3 just lacks content. Fatal Fury Special, Super Famicom version. You know, I got this for $10 during the pandemic, so why not? Same with this one. This is the Carvon Shooting Collection. This is just 8-bit Famicom games on a 16-bit Super Famicom cartridge. Let's just call it for what it is. And then last but not least, for my entire Super Nintendo and Super Famicom collection, this is Ranma 1/2. This is the one that got its name changed to the Street Combat in the US. Yeah, this game is not very good. This game fucking sucks. There's and then some of the other Rama 1/2 games on Super Famicom are actually way better than this fucking garbage. And I've seen all of the anime. I'm gonna tell you right now, the anime itself was fun for a bit, but then it got old really fast. But yeah, this game does fucking suck though. Even if you're a big diehard fan of the anime and the manga, I don't recommend it. It's not very good. And then last but not least is of course my very teeny tiny small Nintendo 64 collection. So without further ado, let's get started with that. We got Super Mario 64. One of the very first games for the N64 launch title. It's a good one. Of course, I also have this one on the Switch via the Mario 3D All Stars collection, or whatever the fuck. Mickey Speedway USA is basically Mario Kart but with Disney characters. That's alright. Pokemon Stadium 1. I don't have part 2, but there's that. WCW vs. NWO Revenge. I know they got the WrestleMania 2000, I think. I think I heard that one's also a pretty good wrestling game, but I have yet to try that one out. WCW vs. NWO World Tour. That's also pretty good. But I think which one? Revenge was better because it's a sequel. Wave Race 64, got that. Mortal Kombat 4, which was a pickup in 2021 for like, I think I got this for $25. I love Mortal Kombat, so I had to get it. GoldenEye 007, of course, classic. Super Smash Bros, the original OG. You can't go wrong with Smash Bros, so you gotta have it in the collection. And last but not least is Ocarina of Time. This was a pickup in 2016. And just like that, that about covers it for not only my Nintendo 64, but my Super Nintendo collection as well. But anyways, you guys, this is Super Sega Ultra signing out. Peace out, and long live the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64. Laters.